Craftsman World of DIY Broadcast Network presents the Down and Dirty Radio Show with Frank Fontana.
All right, it's time for some craftsmanship.
It's all about craftsmanship.
I'm so excited to bring our next guest in because I've kind of did some research and I found her jewelry collection online and I saw some photos. And joining us in studio is Jan Lewis from Jan Lewis Designs. And I can see her. She's wearing a couple of her pieces, which are pretty fantastic. Jan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Once you get settled there, Alex will help you out here.
Should I take my bangles out now?
Please take the bangles out. How you been?
Very good. Busy. Very busy.
I hear your collection is going to land in Bloomingdale's this week, right?
Not this weekend, next weekend.
Next weekend.
Friday and Saturday. Uh-huh.
That is fantastic.
So
now,
this is the first collection.
Tell us how you got in the jewelry business.
Well, I didn't really plan to get in the jewelry business, but I have always been interested in art and would travel with my husband. After I got out of art school, I went to the Art Institute, School of the Art Institute for a number of years and didn't study anything about jewelry design, but mainly graphic design. Oh. And when I got out of school, my schedule wouldn't allow me to do anything full-time. So when I was on the road with Ramsey, I took these wooden bangles and acrylic paints. I had my own little station I could set up in whatever hotel room we were in. And while he would perform, I'd stay at the hotel and paint. And
just for the viewing audience who's just tuning in, her husband is Ramsey Lewis, the
Correct.
Jazz legend. So when she's on tour, she's with Ramsey. So he's doing his thing, and you're doing yours, pretty much.
Yes, and when I started out, like I said, I hadn't really didn't know what I was doing when I started. So I thought, well, what do I paint? And I'm not a painter. So I just started with dots. And I said, okay, I'll just get my bearings with some dots. And then...
So the forms came first, then you were thinking graphics.
Correct.
Okay.
And so I've always been intrigued with shapes and designs and things like that. And so I started placing these dots, and then I'd work on like 3 at a time. And I'd run out of ideas on one of them, and then I'd pick up another. And then I'd go back to it and add to it, and it just kind of happened that dots were my signature.
Nice.
And it's what I love to do. And
well, there's a very... First of all, the shapes are very cool, but the dots themselves have a very, I don't want to say tribal, but Aboriginal type of a vibe to them, but yet the shapes are very geometric and modern. So there's a clash, which I think is a positive thing, of the two styles that make it so unique. Where do you get now I'm assuming those hand-carved wood pieces?
Yeah, I got them originally at an art store in Evanston years and years ago, and I went back. Well, when I did these in the early '90s. This original designs, and looked into getting them reproduced then, but was told they were just too detailed and couldn't be done because to do each one is very time intensive. So for me to do.
So you basically made models that you held on to since the '90s.
Yeah.
And which is a great story of never giving up on your dream.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I put them in the back of my closet. I knew someday I was going to be able to do something with them. So I put the box in the back of my closet for like 20 years. And in that time, I worked with Ramsey on his career and the business side of it, which I enjoyed very much.
Which, by the way, I always wonder, how did you meet Ramsey?
Oh, gosh, years ago. I was... working as a cocktail waitress while I was going to college part-time. I was working
as a cocktail.
Yes.
What's that song? How's that go?
And that was in Denver, Colorado in the early 70s. And Ramsey was opening a nightclub around the corner. And he was staying at the place that I was working. It was like a hotel with a bar and a restaurant. So I was working in the bar. And it was really just the window for us to meet was just like, I don't know, 20 seconds or something.
Wow.
I never worked a day shift, and so I was going at 11 o'clock in the morning from the bar into the restaurant to get the bartender some coffee. And when I walked back, Ramsey was in the lobby waiting for a taxi to go out somewhere. And he happened to turn around just as I was walking back into the bar and saw me. And so he came into the bar and sat down at 11 o'clock in the morning, and nobody else was in there. I mean, It was the first time I'd ever done that in the day.
Did you know who he was right off the bat?
I had heard he was there, but I didn't even know what instrument he played. I didn't know anything about him, and but I knew by his presence that he was
Somebody.
probably him.
Yeah.
And so he asked me to come to his show, and I said sure. So that's how we met.
Wow.
Years ago.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. Very interesting.
And were you into designing back then?
Yeah, I'd always been interested in art. I kind of grew up that way, but I got my degree in anthropology at the University of Illinois, and I had taken a couple of art classes then, and I really, really enjoyed it, and so that's when I decided to check into the Art Institute, and just had a great time there. In fact, I know this is all about wood, and I did I took all kinds of hands-on classes that I could, and one of them was a wood shop class, and
Really?
I made a 35 millimeter camera
Out of wood?
out of wood that I found. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I'd love to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you don't have any
What?
pictures of it, but man, even better, you got it right here.
Oh my gosh.
It took me. I had to go way back in the back of my closet.
Holy
but
cow.
It really came out cool.
Wow.
gosh.
That is super.
Look at that. Do you remember what different types of wood you used on this?
I have no idea. It was like
God, look at the detail.
20 years ago.
Let's see
I
if we
did
can
it in
guess here.
1986.
Wow.
How did you get all this detail in there?
Well, it was a whole semester. That project was our entire semester.
So
Wow.
cool.
That is really neat.
I mean, this is so detailed.
Yeah.
And you put this in the back of a closet? I'd have this on
Yeah.
a countertop somewhere.
Yeah.
This is pretty
Well, I
awesome.
hadn't-
really cool.
I actually hadn't thought of that.
Don't break
Yeah.
it.
No,
No,
I'm
I
just
know.
I'm like afraid to
Yeah.
care.
Well,
wow.
I wasn't sure the glue would still hold, but
Awesome.
nothing's fell.
Nothing like wood glue. Let me tell you, that
Yeah,
thing will
that's-
stick forever. Stronger
Exactly.
than nails.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's in good shape then.
So
Yeah.
you've had this art vein in you for a long time.
Long time.
I'm so happy that you translated it into a product now that I could see brings your anthropology-ish vibe, into this whole thing, and mixed with your creative side, and now you got this beautiful line. Why don't you hold up a couple pieces so the viewers can see what we're talking
where
about
the
here?
camera is.
The cameras are everywhere. It's kind of like a hidden camera show. You'll never know where they
Never
are,
know.
but
Yeah, and they're all kinds of. What's fun is they're
why don't you hand
fun
me
to
a couple
stack.
of those, Alex?
Yeah.
They're fun to stack, and the triangle ones surprisingly are very comfortable because if you have it on and you put your wrist down, it goes
Right in there. Yeah.
Yeah. You-
Now, these are the prototypes, or are these the actual
No, these
replicas?
Are, when Ramsey and I went to India, which is another place where, when I was looking around at all of them,
Color
it was
and-
absolutely incredible. The color was great, and also a lot of the designs are very Indian as well. So it's
Yes.
just kind of, across all.
And this is like
nationalities.
beautifully lacquered and painted,
Yeah.
and so.
So these are what my producers. I found fair trade producers in India, and the quality of their craftsmanship is just terrific. And these are what they did. So this is the.
So this is the official line. It's going to be in Bloomingdale's by next week, and you could tell they're all handmade.
Yes, each
I mean,
one's handmade.
No dot is perfectly aligned, which, by the way, folks, that is the beauty and essence of the product, is that you're getting, not a machine manufactured piece of jewelry. This is handmade, beautiful pieces. And what is the line going to be called?
It's Jan Lewis Designs, and this is the Premier collection, my first collection. And if you notice, there's a texture to it, and which is by
Right.
design as well. It's a kind of a design element so I use fat paint, and it took me a little while to get my
Fat paint.
producer
it's called?
fat paint, yeah, because it's acrylic paints, and I just if it's thinner, then it just kind of all blends in.
Now, do you follow trends of women's jewelry? Do you obviously you know what's in the stores, but are you trying to start a new trend, or to kind of pick up where bracelets left off, let's say?
Actually, no. I just kind of do what I do, and I did these 20 years ago, and I think they're as relevant today as they would have been then.
I would
maybe more so.
agree 100%. That copper one with the cobalt blue is just
Oh,
spectacular.
these two, yeah.
Yeah.
These
I
two
mean, these
very
are
cool.
true color inspirations right there.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part for me, is deciding on colors, because, this is the whole spectrum.
Well, that's everybody's hardest thing, even in your home. I mean,
Yeah.
as a designer, that's the number one problem I get. I get phone calls all day long. Me and my husband can't agree on the color. I can't pick a color for the baby's room. Right? Help me do this. So you're right. Color is one of the most difficult, especially when you're clashing color the way you are. you're breaking some rules and it's working.
Exactly.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
It makes your pieces even more unique.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like I'm way out on a limb, and I say, well, I'm going with it anyway, just do it.
And that's what artists do. Mm-hmm. And I consider you an artist. Do you have a website where people can get the stuff online?
Yes, janlewisdesigns.com. I have a store, and they can go there and see the whole collection. It's my web designer, Michael Cokes, did a beautiful job, and you can see different faces of each bangle, and then decide
So are
which
the
one you
three
want.
shapes looks like a nut shape?
That's octagon.
Octagon.
There's 6 shapes.
Triangle, square, and then I'm assuming circle.
Round and triangle. Yeah, there's however many there are. I lose
Yeah.
track. I had an oval and I had another one, but the ovals didn't work too well. They were.
What's your top sellers?
I don't know. Well, it remains to be seen. This is the first time
You're
out
launching
there.
big time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my
Are
launch.
you excited for the big Bloomingdale's?
I am very excited. What an opportunity to have a trunk show
Is
at
it going to be?
Bloomingdale's.
Oh, so it's going to be at Chicago, in the Chicago Bloomingdale's?
Yes, on Michigan Avenue.
On Michigan Avenue. Okay.
And 2 days, on Friday the 12th from 4 to 8 p.m., and on Saturday the 13th from noon to 7.
That's great, folks. If you're around town, come on down. You going to be there yourself?
Oh yeah, and Ramsey will be there.
Meet Ramsey Lewis. Jan Lewis will be there, debuting her new jewelry line. They're beautiful pieces, folks. You got to go check out the website. Better yet, go see her live and get yourself a couple pieces. What are the retail prices for this, by the way?
The narrow ones are $80, and the wide ones are $100.
Super affordable for one-of-a-kind pieces, made with lots of love.
And I also brought you a cookie.
Oh,
These are
man.
going to be a gift with purchase at my trunk show.
At the trunk show. So check this out, folks. You get your own customized cookie that listen, you could win me over with food any day.
These are great cookies.
I'm going to eat this
yeah.
as soon as the show is over.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Jan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Folks, Jan Lewis, a true honor. And, Ramsey's record is doing well, the new one?
Very well. Very
Awesome.
well.
Good stuff.
He's
Tell him
doing
we
great.
said hello. He's an old friend to the show. And I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks. Well, that's our show here for the Down and Dirty. Another great episode. I want to thank all my special guests. The host of The Pyramid, Mike Richards, joining us earlier, and bring it. Niraj Vora from Athletico, teaching us how to do DIY the right way without getting hurt, folks. Go to their website for some more tips. And then James McLaughlin, our Craftsman Memories